Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang. AR500 Armor, the company, made a name for themselves quite literally through the success of their budget body armor plates made of AR500 steel, like this one right here. They kept the name as they branched into lines of soft body armor, as they branched into lines of ceramic composite plates like this. All the while they were offering law enforcement and military grade protection at prices that didn't require departmental budgets to be able to afford. Now they're getting into plastic body armor, or UHMWPE, with the same plan of offering a premium grade product at a relatively affordable price. AR500 Armor sent me a couple of their new plates to see what they're about. The result was a video that I think is actually pretty interesting, not just for what it says about these plates in particular, but about polyethylene armor in general. And that's what's coming up next on Twang and Bang. This is a plate of plastic body armor, which is understandably confusing at first because it says AR500 Armor right on the front of it. But AR500 Armor is the name of the company that makes this plate that contains no AR500 steel at all. Instead, it consists of laminated UHMWPE as the armor, padded to protect the wearer from deformation injuries. UHMWPE stands for Ultra High Molecular Weight Polyethylene, which is a very hard version of the most common plastic found in consumer products all around us. UHMWPE is so tough that it's been taking the place of steel in applications like skid plates for off-road vehicles, hull reinforcement for boats, and even in braided cables. It's also used as a surface for some artificial ice rinks because not only is it hard, it's also slippery. To make UHMWPE armor, many thin sheets are heat laminated together under high pressure until resin matrices join together at the molecular level. This creates one piece that maintains important characteristics of being made of many pieces. From the side, you can see the many layers of white UHMWPE laminated together, backed by black padding. When armor is hit, the impact breaks the resin bonds, delaminating the individual layers that make up the armor. This disperses the energy of the bullet over a greater area and allows the armor to stop bullets with much greater velocity than the equivalent weight of steel. Even though this delamination helps to stop the bullet from penetrating the armor, the UHMWPE can still dent anywhere it's hit with enough velocity. That's why most UHMWPE armor is backed by heavy padding, just like this one. Its NIJ rating takes this into account, certifying that deformation is within limits determined to be survivable. In this case, the NIJ rated this armor at level 3, which means it'll stop M193-556, mild steel 7.62x39 rounds, and even 6 hits from M80-7.62 without failing. Penetrating rounds in these calibers can defeat UHMWPE, however, because they basically cut through the resin bond, similar to how high velocity rounds cut through the fibers of soft body armor. At 1.3 inches deep, the plates are thick compared to steel armor, but they only weigh 3.3 pounds each and are positively buoyant. Because they're so thick, the sides have a satiny material on them to make it easier to slide these fat plates into armor carriers. Made in the US, these UHMWPE plates have a 5-year nominal shelf life and are covered by a full manufacturer's warranty. Just looking at a plate of UHMWPE armor, you can see it's built differently than either steel plate armor or ceramic plate armor like this. First of all, it doesn't have a PaxCon coating. This coating on the outside looks like Line-X because it kind of is a spall mitigating, a fragment mitigating coating. When a bullet hits the steel, it busts apart in pieces, and you don't want those pieces hitting you as a wearer, so this coating is there to catch those pieces. UHMWPE itself will catch those pieces, so it doesn't need a coating on the outside for anti-spall, anti-fragments. Instead, you've got a tough nylon on the front and back side, and then you have a very slick nylon on the side. The reason it's slick on the side isn't for looks or comfort. It's going inside your plate carrier. It's because you can see how thick this plate is. It's the armor and padding. The padding is bonded to the back of the armor permanently all together. This makes it so fat that it's a little bit difficult shoving this into the pocket of a plate carrier, and this smooth outside makes that easier. That's why it's on the front edges and you don't see it on the bottom. It's not needed there. Of course, it is a lot thicker than this level 3 plus plate, but you have to keep in mind it's not just the armor, it's also the trauma pad behind it. So the thickness isn't quite as different, especially when you get to putting a trauma pad behind a plate of the ceramic composite. And then when you figure the weight savings, this is a 7.5 pound plate. This is a 7.8 pound plate. Even their reduced coverage ALSC plate, 5.5 pounds, whereas you get full protection with UHMWPE for only 3.3 pounds, and it's neutrally buoyant. Scratch that last statement about neutral buoyancy, because as you're about to see, the plate actually floats. I'm at the tactical bathtub to show you the difference between what would happen if you fell in the water with an AR500 Armor steel plate and with one of their UHMWPE plates. You can see this is buoyant. It's not rated to be a PFD, a personal flotation device. I wouldn't count on this to float you and your loadout, but there's going to be a pretty significant difference in your ability to stay on the surface of the water if you end up in water above your head wearing a plate carrier that has two of these in it versus the same plate carrier, same loadout. Oh, reach way down there with one of these, which is heavy enough to sink both plates. That's a feature that shouldn't be overlooked, especially if you're in a water environment. If you're going to be going on boats and things like that, gosh, I couldn't imagine wearing a plate carrier like that. You're just basically wearing an anchor. This is a lot more expensive, but you have to think about what all you're protecting and what risks you're taking when you wear body armor. And this has a whole lot of advantages with regards to its buoyancy that you don't get with other armor materials. This is the AR500 Armor Veritas plate carrier, and it's going to be a perfect demonstration of why this material is used on the outside of the plate, because even though this plate carrier is designed to hold these plates, it's a bit of effort getting them all the way in. And if the material on the sides weren't that slick, it would be a whole lot harder getting the plate seated correctly. But now that it is, you can see front plate, back plate are both in place. You can also see that obviously the entire interior volume of each of those pockets are taken up with the plate, but I got it in there and it's seated exactly the way it needs to be. However, I am not going to shoot with this plate carrier because I like it too much. And so now we're going to see how that fabric comes into play in removing the plate, so I could put it in this cheapy Condor plate carrier instead. I've already shot this. I blasted the buckle off in a previous test, but this is the plate carrier that we're going to strap on the rubber dummy and then nail it with some 308. I'm shooting this plate not to prove that this armor works. The NIJ has already done that. I'm just shooting this so I can show you how this armor works. Perfect shot. After checking out the armor, it did great. It's multi-hit rated, so I'm going to put a few more into it and see what we end up with. All right, let's cut this open and see what we got. First thing to note is nothing is coming out the backside of the plate carrier. That's what we would expect. Looks like one of those neck massagers or back massagers. There's absolutely almost like tennis ball sized lumps. 1, 2, 3. There's probably, that's like the start of a fourth one. That was the first hit, second hit, third hit, fourth hit. But it's well padded, so that might hurt when you got hit, but you can see it
barely bothered the rubber dummy. So I'm sure that's completely survivable even at that range. And here's the front side, first hit, second hit, third hit, fourth hit. Let's get into this. Oh yeah, look at that. You can see how there's delamination. You can see there's a little cracking. That's how it's supposed to work. And inside, gosh, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get a close-up of that. The bullets are fully contained in each of the holes. This one you can really see right there. Just you can see the back end of it. And oh, so here you can see from the side the many different layers of the UHMWPE that are laminated together with heat and pressure. And on the back side, that padding did its job. It bulged and nothing sharp is poking through or anything like that. Let's see if we can't peel this padding off and get to the back of the armor part. And here's the back side of the armor. First shot, second, third, fourth. And I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to get into the armor to see those bullets. I'm not sure. Nope. I can't believe I managed to do this. I had to take my jacket off. This was a lot of work. This took me about 20 minutes to split this open. But here's the front, here's the back, and I actually used a hammer and a screwdriver and eventually got the handle of the screwdriver, the handle of the hammer in between, and was twisting and using this to pry it open. Boy, that was tough. And a lot of bullet fragments. The fragments weren't whole in here. They were busted up. And you can see the pockets in here where the bullet actually kind of melted from the heat, the material. And I'm gonna have to show the ground. I'll get a video of the ground, but there are pieces of bullet fragment all over. And what's interesting is we know that it contained it because there were no fragments that were even in the plate carrier itself. If there was any kind of fragmentation making it out the front side, we would have seen extra holes on the plate carrier, and we would have seen pieces of it inside the plate carrier, and that didn't happen. So despite the fact that these rounds were fully fragmented inside of the armor, they were fully contained. And you can see that is a layer right there, how thin that is. That is a layer, layer, and it all delaminated. This is what it was supposed to do. The part of this is for me ripping it apart, but you can see it's just all bonded together. And if this looks like soft armor, it is used in soft armor. In some soft armor, you can even use this to make steel, the equivalent of steel cable, UHMWPE cable, which is lighter and stronger than steel and won't corrode. This is used for a lot of different things. And boy, it sure is effective as body armor. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I was able to get that apart. Armor is always a trade-off between protection and maneuverability. UHMWPE armor is as comfortable and light as you're gonna get for now in armor that's gonna be able to stop rifle rounds. However, you do give up the ability to stop penetrator rounds like M855 green tip, which is actually a pretty common 5.56 round. In this case, there's also a bit of a trade-off between abusability and maneuverability. If you're gonna buy armor to just sit in the back of your truck or in the trunk of your car, UHMWPE armor is going to take more care to prevent it from being damaged from bouncing around or having stuff bounce on top of it than steel armor, though it's not nearly as fragile as ceramic composite armor. However, UHMWPE armor can be damaged through abuse, through rough handling in ways that steel plate will just laugh off. But you can't deny the increase in comfort and maneuverability. It's really significant. A lot of people, when they put on a plate carrier with 2 of these plates in it, just cannot believe that they're wearing armor capable of stopping 6 hits from .308 Winchester at close range, which is why a lot of people find the trade-offs to be worth it, including price. 1 plate of AR500 armor, UHMWPE armor, is $320 MSRP. Though, as always, you can use the link in the video description and code TWANGnBANG to save up to 10% off of your order depending upon what you buy. Discount aside, $320 is actually at the low end of the market for a plate of UHMWPE armor, yet you're getting all of the protection, all the comfort of more expensive plates. If you want to learn more about UHMWPE armor from AR500armor.com, be sure to click the link in the video description below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. You can see the links right here. And be sure to click right here to subscribe so you can catch my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and I hope to see you next time.